Hey, welcome back. It's Darlene here with Unmaking a Mess and Tinge of Bravery. I did change the name on my blog on Facebook to Unmaking a Mess, and so if you want to find me there, look up Unmaking a Mess. And here on YouTube, it is still titled Tinge of Bravery, but I'm going to try to change that one as well. Nonetheless, try to find me on Apple and Spotify under Tinge of Bravery. For my podcast that I record all of these and kind of do the same thing. And on my online blog, Unmaking a Mess, it's all written down. So if you miss anything here, I would love for you to tune in to my online blog and share and subscribe, and definitely stay tuned in. Okay, so I know it's been a while since I've been on here, and that is because I had influenza A. I was literally unrecognizable last week. It was one of the most wretched things ever. It came on literally out of the blue on Monday, to the point where I felt like I was having like some type of allergy attack in my throat. Like my throat swelled and it got scratchy. It was the weirdest thing ever. And by Tuesday night, my neighbor had to take me to the hospital. And I think that was probably the first time I actually got some real sleep, because I was like in this little hospital bed with my blanket, and they were filling me with fluids. And it was like the strangest comforting feeling ever. Do you ever get those? Like, do you ever get like a comfort feeling when you're in a doctor's office or somewhere, when you're like really sick, you just want to be taken care of? Okay, so maybe that's just me, because I'm, single mom, and, my girls do a wonderful job, but let's face it, we want to be taken care of. So I didn't get sick on purpose just to go to the hospital. Let me just tell you that much. Anyway, I'm going to get into this because I know it's been a while and I want to get you guys caught up. And so I'm reading from what I wrote down. And I would love it if you would just continue to watch, share, subscribe, and just keep viewing, because I'm definitely going to keep posting them. So this one is called Being Content. Oh, and as you can see, I'm in my car because I am at a practice. And actually, it's not a bad thing, because I think I get some really good sound when I'm sitting in my car. Anyway, here we go. Being content. I've never had such a case of conflicted writer's block like what I had during the 2 weeks that I had written this. I get to writing and then I feel as if the content is somehow not compelling. Like, granted, I know I write mostly about my life and day-to-day events, and what occurs to me is that, sometimes it's really hard for me to write unless there's like a certain element of chaos going on, because then I feel like I can write about that stuff and turn it into moments where, I can give you insight and show you how I'm handling things and where, God is working in my life. But fortunately, not a lot of chaos was happening at the time I was writing this, and that was a good thing. And so, and it never felt better, to kind of have, a really settled feeling. And I wrote down, and this is so true, that when I write down these 5 words, I have never felt better, it is absolutely frightening to me, because all of a sudden I think, oh my gosh, is something going to happen? It makes me nervous. I don't want to, convey this all too soon. And that's just such a crappy way of living, because we should be enjoying life no matter what comes our way. I know, easier said than done. But anyway, I've prayed about stuff like that, like to have these really content days, and for God to just let me live and take care of my girls without all these extra challenges. I have, the regular teenage issues, a sick cat or dog, or typical money concerns, and I still have like the heavy heartbeat and where I'm losing my breath, and stuff like that. And, at times I just feel like there's some days too, like where I can't even get enough sleep. But hey, that probably has a lot to do with me staying up late and getting up early. So totally self-inflicted. Anyway, it's been good. I've been able to actually even go to work at my shop and without feeling anxious or nervous. I did a whole, remodel within reason of my daughter's room, and it's really done minus redoing a light fixture. And I actually got outside and cut down, like a bunch of wood for our fireplace. And so, really, really great things to just be able to just get up and live and just handle things on a regular basis. So I want to talk about that because I don't want to sound like the person who has to find something wrong in something good. I cannot be that person. I have no idea if it has to do with my upbringing or my anxiety, but while I was sharing with my girlfriends the other day of, how, things have been going pretty decent lately, I had this sudden pang of regret as if, I shouldn't speak so joyfully. Like, what if they're having a really bad day and it just makes them feel worse? And, I don't want to sound like too assured of things, and I got to thinking after I wrote these things down to my girlfriends, I was like, oh my gosh, what if I just spoke all that stuff and I literally just gave the enemy an open door to rain on my parade? And that parade word is kind of an ironic word. I wrote down, it's an ironic idiom that I wrote down right on my parade, and I'll get to that here in just a little bit. But anyway, this is how my life works. So after I shared all that with my girlfriends, like my daughter texted me like within minutes and said she was not feeling good and she was coming home from her friend's house because she was having a headache and stuff. And I thought, okay, here we go. And then I thought, all right. And my other daughter is going to a parade the next day, which was a huge celebration, a celebratory parade, for the Super Bowl. And I thought, oh gosh, what if I should not let her go? What if something happens on the way, a wreck there, or on the way home or something? I really had to work hard at these thoughts and removing these thoughts. And I said some prayers, for God to just help me be strong and confident and trust in Him because, I want to have that happiness. I mean, don't we all? I want to handle daily trials like, they're nothing. It's just going to happen. And so I wrote down here that I did not want the enemy to grasp my mind and heart and try to steal my joy, which comes from John 10:10 in the Bible. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And Jesus has come to give us life. And, it's really true. So I really had to work hard to dwell on that. So anyway, not to mention the fact, my talking about how things have gone well doesn't mean at all that I have like this full, complete control over the course of my life. God is still the only one that knows what is happening. And as I process this thought, which I've known for a long time that God has control, I really did find some peace within me, because then I started thinking back to the year and all these things that I got through, and knowing that He had a grip on me and He got me through those things. I still get really concerned, as well any parent, would anyway when their kid travels. And so I sent some prayers for my youngest daughter as they set out to go to this big parade the next day. And they got through it. And as they were driving home, my daughter texts me and says there was a shooting at the parade. And I want to tell you a little bit about my reaction to that. She told me this in a text, and I simply replied with, "Mercy. Crazy people. Thank God you're all right." And that was it. I didn't think twice about it, which, as I processed that, as I'm writing, it gave me an idea of the numbness that I feel at times over tragedies. It's far from the idea that, I don't care. I absolutely do. But as I thought through more, I realized, when she came home, I didn't even give her a hug. And I thought, this is really an example of how my life has endured so many tough events, tragedies, and just straight up hardships. Enough that when I know my kids are okay, I am okay, and I move on. It wasn't until later that day, when I heard the actual details of the shooting, did I think, holy crap, my daughter and her friends were right there, literally right where it happened. And thank God for the mom that took them, decided to leave early. Now that is divine intervention. My mind immediately went to the night before when I questioned my daughter going to the parade, and how I shook it off as me just being paranoid and almost letting the enemy try to damage my mind. And I realized, there is no connection between me talking about how things are going well and my daughter being somewhere where there's a terrible event. And I want you to realize that so we can learn this together. There is no connection between bad things that are happening and you feeling as if things are going well in your life. Okay? That's not how life works. God already knows what's happening here. We do have control over ourselves and where we place ourselves if it's like a super dangerous situation. And a parade, honestly shouldn't be a dangerous situation unless, of course, there's tons of people and, an excess of substances and heightened emotions and feelings. And I guess in that case, yeah, something is bound to happen. Still, we cannot live in fear, let alone feel as if we cannot be happy for ourselves because it might bring on a bad circumstance. I'm watching as people are coming out. I'm wondering if they're canceling practice because of the weather, because it's kind of starting to sleet here. But I'm going to try to finish this in case my daughter and her team decides to leave. Anyway, as I was talking about, we cannot live in fear, let alone feel as if we cannot be happy for ourselves because it might bring on a bad circumstance. I want to be happy and feel joy and not worry about something happening. I've had many things occur in my life to know that in between those formidable situations, I was just living and making the best out of my life. God has brought me through some pretty nasty stuff. I've waited days, months, and years to get to a content day like this. And I know it's not always going to be this way, but what I do know is this, that when I laugh, joke, smile, that's who I want my kids to see. It's okay for them to see the turmoil, the sadness, the regret. I feel like they've had a lot of that and they've seen me overcome it. And I think there does come a point in time where you do go through all these hardships and all you want to do is just show your kids, I can breathe, I'm feeling better, you know, I'm happy. I'm not going to dread. I don't want to show them this dreadful human being that worries each day that something awful is going to happen. I want to show them that I can trust in the Lord, and when we do escape a frightening moment, that it is the time to really show God praise. Philippians 4:13 has always been a verse of mine that I go to. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I have learned it does not mean I won't have troubles. It means when trouble occurs, God is with me. I don't really want any of these horrible things that has happened to me in my life growing up to return in any way possible again, let alone to my girls. I do know that some of those perils were from me, myself, placing me in some not so good environments and circumstances. So with me knowing this and surviving it, I'm using that. And I can pray over my girls that they do not do the same things. And I can speak openly with them about how to avoid these things. So in the meantime, I know how my mentality affects my daughters. If I am happy and content, they see this and they can feel good about it. If I show them fear of the unknown, they learn this too. If I show them happy and content, fear happens and I can overcome it because we can trust God. That is monumental. That is where I want to go with my daughters. I cannot avoid pitfalls, busted pipes, blown engines, broken appliances, bad batteries on mowers, criminal activities, sick animals, but I can do my best to avoid areas where stuff might happen. I can learn to take care of what we have, and above all, remember that God already knows our path, and He already knew my path when all those things were happening. And as a result of that, I can teach my girls what to do and what not to do, and how to be happy and content and trust God. And with that, I am done. I went 17 minutes, thank God. And so I leave you with that. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I will get back to recording and such. And I'm just going to be bold and just do what I can. So stick with me. We're going to make this happen. God bless you all. Be safe, be warm, and take care. And I shall see you soon. Bye.